Hello, my name is Bradley Powell, and this is my final project for Word 110. Here with me we have...
Nicholas Walls. I am a now theater major. I've got a certificate in business and engineering. I am a Hup Squad representative for the Circus Club and listen to music.
My name's Elektra Clauer, and I'm an aerospace engineering major, sophomore, and that's literally all I have going on.
Alright, so I'm here to talk about music. More specifically, I want to talk about how music affects students and their performance in studying. You clearly listen to music, Nicholas.
I do.
Do you, Elektra?
Oh, absolutely.
I also listen to music. At least a third or a fourth of the day, I have my earbuds in, listening to some form of metal. And usually I'm doing this while I'm doing homework or studying. And I was looking through some articles, and I learned that people have different ways that they study. And one of the things that went with that was that some people just can't listen to music while studying. And I don't understand it, because when I'm studying, it gets to the point that if I'm not listening to music, I will not be able to focus on my work in any kind of way. So what about you guys? Do you listen to music when you're studying or doing homework, or...
I listen to music when I study. Not when I study, when I do homework. I find it really helps me get into the mood. It has to be like a specific kind of music, because like if I put on a musical like Dear Evan Hansen or Be More Chill or Heathers or Hamilton or Six, I'm just going to start singing those songs. Typically, when I listen to music while I'm doing work, I listen to Elektra swing, which is a kind of jazz but modernized with electronic music. It typically doesn't have lyrics. There are definitely some that do have lyrics, but I find not having lyrics provides me a better way of focusing, because I'm not thinking about the lyrics themselves and like what they're saying. Because when I listen to music, I like to listen to it and like see the deeper meaning in it and analyze the lyrics while I'm listening to it. So electro swing with no lyrics allows me to have that upbeat, fast tempo of background noise without it impeding my ability to study or work.
Okay. What about you, Elektra?
I listen to music while studying, but it's also very distracting because I have a hard time if the song's changing over and over again, so I just put like one song on loop until I finish my assignments, so it makes it where I can't like find new music and stuff to change into, and I'm being limited to one thing, and it really helps ground me when it's only one thing, and it really depends on what type of music it is, because if it's like hyper-ish music, I struggle to focus more, but if it's more like a leveling ground, like nice soft rock and roll, it helps me focus.
So, I read an article from National University where they were looking into how music impacts productivity. They had found that depending on your type of learning, along with other similar preferences like that, that are built into how you operate, studying music, they work together in different kinds of ways. With auditory learners, people who have to listen to something or hear someone explain it to them to understand it, they benefit from low constant sounds, like ambient noises or lo-fi that's like more constant. While visual learners, they don't benefit from music at all. In fact, listening to any kind of music usually will cause them to not be able to learn. It makes it really hard for them to focus. So, do you know what kind of learner you are, Nicholas?
Personally, I think in order to efficiently learn in any capacity, you need a combination of all three: hands-on, visual, and auditory learning. Because if I explain to you how to tie a rope or tie a knot without showing you and demonstrating, it's going to be very hard for you to visualize that if you've never seen a rope before or you don't know what a knot is. Similar to if I was to describe the rotation of the planets in the solar system and their orbit around the sun without giving you a visual representation of how they move around, it's going to be very difficult to picture that if you don't know what planets are.
Okay.
And I think you need some sort of basic understanding of anything in order to be able to simply auditory or visually learn. But for me personally, it requires a combination of all three. I need to be able to see what they are doing, hear what they are doing, and be able to put it into practice. Because I'll learn it if I see them and hear them do it, but I'm not going to remember it if I don't actively participate in the thing that they are doing.
So that one's like the most important one. Like that's the one that without it,
hands-on activity, because then you build not only your mental memory, but your physical and your muscle memory when it comes to doing things like that.
doing things physically, that's called being kinesthetic, which is a very fancy name for doing things. So with schoolwork, a lot of times that's doing the homework assignments and stuff. That's to build your kinesthetic learning, which everyone can use all three, but they usually have a preference. What about you, Elektra?
I'm not good at audio explanations. Will not pay attention long enough for that. So it has to be like visual and then hand done. I have to do it with you. And then I usually get it. But I cannot listen to people explain anything to save my life.
So you're kind of a mix of visual and kinesthetic?
Yeah.
Okay. So personally, I'm a kinesthetic learner, which means that I actually have to do things like you, Nicholas. I have to do things to be able to learn. And I had said that with auditory learners, they usually like consistent like background music, while visual learners couldn't really. They usually preferred silence. They can't really benefit from using music in any kind of way. Kinesthetic is more into upbeat music that will help them be more active, like keep their mind awake, pretty much. Something that goes with studying is stress. Before big exams and everything, often you're studying for that exam and you're feeling stressed out and you end up not remembering things because of the exam. That is something that stress causes. Stress can screw with your memory pretty bad. And I usually put my headphones in and will listen to some kind of music. And again, depending on the person and their type of learning, they do different things to be able to get rid of stress. So what about you, Elektra? What do you do to get rid of stress?
I listen to music, and then I also don't think about the task at hand. You see, I daydream nonstop while listening to music, which means I get really off task. And then I start stressing, oh god, I have to do this. And then it's like, nah, let's just daydream. Let's just imagine what a forest for Dungeons and Dragons could look like for that campaign and stuff and whatever. That's usually what I do to get rid of my stress, and it just adds more stress. So yeah.
So you kind of just build up on stress when you're studying.
Counterproductive.
Very, very.
What about you, Nicholas?
So, in terms of stress, I would say I don't typically feel like what other people would say stress is. I've got a very high stress tolerance. Like, it's really hard for me to get stressed out about something. But listening to music, and when it comes to test anxiety, listening to music while I work can really help with that. Because if I'm struggling with a certain concept or topic, I'll listen to a specific song. Because while I'm doing my tests, you've seen me do my tests, I start talking to myself and I'll sing myself songs while I'm taking my tests. And I will usually associate one song to a certain topic or subject. So I'll start singing the song and that'll remind me of when I was studying for it. So I will remember what I was studying for and how to do something that I was doing while I was listening to that music.
Well, I mainly brought that up, stress, because I read an article by Harvard's Health Publishing. They stated that music had triggered more neural pathways in the brain than almost anything else. It led to improved mental health and reduced stress levels.
Yeah, I'd have to say I agree. Music really helps de-stressing, even though like I don't really feel stress.
Mhm.
But like if I'm in a situation that like makes me uncomfortable, or if I'm like upset about something, not stressed out, if I'm like sad, I'll listen to music because it's really hard to be sad when you're listening to Katy Perry's Last Friday Night.
This article that I had read from NBC News, they said, despite the somewhat variable effects of music on the individual, one thing is definitely clear: a noisy workplace can end up halting productivity in its tracks. And they go on to explain that headphones might not be as distracting as some bosses think. And I really like this article because they talked about how music can help people be more productive in outside of studying and outside of just their alone time in work. They talk about in work when you're doing like a desk job, or when you're doing a construction job, or some other job. They talked about whenever you're at work, listening to music can help them focus, and it can help with workplace performance. In a study they did involving information technology specialists, they found that those who listen to music while doing their tasks ended up doing it more quickly and had better ideas.
See, I think to add on to that when it comes to solo jobs like coding or just like tedious mindless work like going through things and checking them off, or bookkeeping, things like that, I think music can be incredibly productive. Like
Yeah.
people focus more, and it can help drown out background noise of like coworkers having side conversations or things like distracting you. It can cut off on distractions. But any job that has to do with like communication, like not emailing, I think emailing is fine. Like if you're just sitting in an office and all you do is send emails back and forth,
Yeah.
music is fine. But any job where like customer service is an important thing, like
Absolutely.
calling people, or like working in a fast food restaurant where communication is really important, I think music has its place, but not in those areas and those aspects where you have to talk to people.
Yeah.
What is your opinion on music in the workplace, Elektra?
As somebody who has helped in construction, like I helped build the house that me and my family are currently living in, the equipment's loud, so music has helped with our hearing protection a lot, especially in woodworking communities, mason communities where they're using stone, even like foraging communities, people need hearing protection, and music helps with that a lot. So I think it's good depending on what type of industry you're into. Because like you said, customer service, you don't want music for. Not unless it's like a store-wide music. Because a lot of
like
stores
the little
have,
like Kroger's
yeah, Kroger's
constantly
has-
playing 2015 music
yeah.
from the radio.
Or Walmart,
Yeah.
That's normal. But having solo music, it's just disrespectful to the person you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's
and
just-
that's like a really big argument for employers, which is why I said in customer service I
That's
don't think
why
it has a
s-
place.
Yeah.
But there's no reason for them not to listen to music, because if you're their boss, you can just walk up, you can send them an email, or you can just walk up and tap them and be like, hey, I need you to get this done. Thank you for having me, Bradley. I really appreciate it. I hope everything goes well with you.
Hey, have fun. Thank you for having me.
Alrighty.
Bye.